You are welcome back to class. In this class, we are looking at prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase is unique among the phrases. It has its own peculiarity. One thing you need to notice is that a prepositional phrase is a phrase, not just a word. A prepositional phrase is a phrase, and that phrase contains a preposition and complements. In a prepositional phrase, which it must be a phrase, number one, there must be a preposition and complements. Because without the complements, there may be no prepositional phrase. This is called complement because, as I stated earlier, complement is needed to complete an expression. Once you remove it, that expression will lose its meaning or status. So, in the structure of a prepositional phrase, you must find a preposition and complement. Moving further, these are the examples. We have preposition and complement. The first example, at the park. At the park. At is the preposition, while the park is the complement. Let's assume that we remove the complement. What do we have? We just have a preposition, and there is no more prepositional phrase. But by the time the complement is returned or added, as the park forms a prepositional phrase. Likewise, with all you have done. With all you have done. With is the preposition, while all you have done is the complement. It complements the preposition to form a prepositional phrase. From what I heard. From what I heard. From is a preposition, while what I heard is a complement. If you look at this example critically, you observe that there is something different from other phrases. And the fact is that preposition is like a slim but intelligent guy. He's small in stature, in status, in strength. He's not so strong. He lacks the stamina, he lacks the strength, he lacks the stature. But the one thing it has that is intelligence is how to network. To form the phrase, it joins itself to big guys. The park is a big guy. All you have done is a big guy. Whereas this small, slim, tiny guy forms a group, persuade the big guys to support him, and it happens to be the head of that group, and that group is called prepositional phrase. When you want to address it, other members of the group will tell you that that is our boss, the preposition at. You can say we have two major bigger elements here, the park. Body and park will tell you that our boss is at. And that's why in that expression at the park, we call it a prepositional phrase. Here with all you have done, there are four major elements here. He has four big guys in his group. And those big guys are the ones that will protect. If you are looking at the meaning, you may not find meaning at prepositional level. But looking at the complement of preposition supplies certain meaning about the preposition. So, and it stands as the head or lead of the group. And it is respected for that. The purpose of this complement is to defend the strength, the stature, and stamina of the head, which is the preposition. So you see that the prepositional phrase, preposition is the weakest, smallest, the tiniest. while the complement is what gives the preposition its meaning in the prepositional phrase. All of them are bigger than it, but it's still their head, is their leader. The name of the group is called a prepositional phrase because it's the one that formed the group, although all the people in the group are bigger than it. In the structure of a prepositional phrase, we have the head and post modifier. The head and post modifier. Here we have from my best friend. From is the head word. From, which is a preposition. While my best friend is functioning as a post modifier. In everything you are passing through. In everything you are passing through. In is the head word because it's the preposition. While everything you are passing through is the post modifier. By the power conferred on me. By the power conferred on me. By is the head word, which is a preposition. The power conferred on me is the post modifier. But now let's look at some of the elements that can function as the complements in a prepositional phrase. Number one, noun. A noun can function as the complement in the structure of a prepositional phrase. For example, at home. At home. Home here is a noun and function as a complement of the preposition at. On campus. On campus. The preposition head is on, while campus is a noun that functions as a prepositional complement. So you see here that a noun can function as a prepositional complement. The second element is pronoun. Pronoun. In you. You is a pronoun functioning as complement of the preposition in. By herself. Herself is a pronoun functioning as a complement of the preposition by. So in this two example, we realize that pronouns can function as the complement of preposition in the prepositional phrase. The third element is the noun phrase. The noun phrase. In the example, in the cold room. In the cold room. The cold room is a noun phrase and serves or functions as complement to the preposition in the prepositional phrase in the cold room. Another example, from the store. From the store. The store is a noun phrase that functions as a complement of the preposition from in the prepositional phrase from the store. Another element is an adverb. An adverb can function as complement in the prepositional phrase. For example, from there. There is an adverb of place, complementing the preposition from. So where is also an adverb that functions as complement to the preposition to. The next element is noun clause or finite clause. By what you did. By what you did. What you did is a finite or noun clause, while by is a preposition. And that finite or noun clause functions as the complement of the preposition by. It complements the preposition by in the prepositional phrase by what you did. From what you said. From what you said. From is a preposition, while what you said is a noun clause that functions as its complement. And the last element here is non-finite clause. Non-finite clause. For example, after writing the exam. After is a preposition, while writing the exam is a non-finite clause that post-modifies the preposition after. By signing the document. by signing the document. By is the preposition, which is the head word, while signing the document is a non-finite clause that post modifies it. So there are 6 major elements that we observe here that can post modify, that can function as complement or preposition in a prepositional phrase. The first one is noun with the example, pronoun with the example, noun phrase or with a noun phrase with the example, adverb with the example, noun clause or finite clause with the example, and we have non-finite clause. But now let's look at the functions of prepositional phrase. Functions of prepositional phrase. There are 3 major functions that prepositional phrase performs, and these functions made prepositional phrase to be controversial. The first one is adjectival. It performs adjectival function, which is post modifier of a noun. And in this case, technically, such prepositional phrase may be called adjectival phrase because of the functions it performs. For example, all the students in the class. In the class here, post modifies the noun students. And there is a rule in grammar that anything that performs the function of an adjective by modifying noun is an adjectival. So we can say that this prepositional phrase, adjectival prepositional phrase in the class, could be called adjectival phrase in a technical sense because it performs the functions of modifying a noun, students. Grammatical name, it is a prepositional phrase, grammatical name, but it functions as a modifier or post modifier of the noun students. But it can also be called adjectival phrase because of the function it performs. The soup in the pot. In the pot, post modifies the noun soup. In the noun phrase, the soup in the pot. Like I said, in the pot can be called adjectival phrase because it performs the function of modifying the noun, which is the function of an adjective. Grammatical name, you can call it a prepositional phrase or adjectival phrase because of the functions it performs, and it modifies the noun soup. The second function is the post modifier of an adjective. A prepositional phrase can post modify an adjective in an adjectival phrase. For example, afraid of your action. Afraid of your action. Afraid is an adjective, which is the end of the adjectival phrase, while of your action is a post modifier. It post modifies the adjective afraid. Sure of what you said. Sure of what you said. Sure is an adjective, while of what you said is a prepositional phrase that post modifies the adjective sure in an adjectival phrase, sure of what you said. The last function is adverbial. Adverbial. And that's why some prepositional phrase could be called adverbial phrase because of the function they perform. Look at, for example, she left in the morning. In the morning is traditionally a prepositional phrase. But in this sentence, it performs adverbial function. Adverb of what? Adverb of time. So it can be called adverbial phrase or prepositional phrase because grammatical name is a prepositional phrase. It modifies the verb as its function. It could be called adverbial phrase as grammatical name. Also, the function that it modifies the verb left. Also, let's look at it. I found the pen in the drawer. In the drawer here is a prepositional phrase that performs the adverbial function of identifying the place where the finding was done. Therefore, in the drawer here modifies the verb found. Therefore, it can be seen as an adverbial phrase because it's perform the adverbial function of modifying the verb found here. And lastly, adverbial prepositional phrase can also perform adverbial function by modifying the whole sentence. Function as a disjunct. With due respect, I was at a training on that day. We are looking at with due respect is a prepositional phrase. But in this place, you look at it perform the function of disjunct by modifying the whole sentence. It modified the sentence, I was at a training on that day. And you can see that it is separated by a pair of with a comma. So with due respect here is a prepositional phrase that modifies the whole sentence, I was at a training on that day. Looking further, you may realize that there are other prepositional phrases within the expression at a training on that day. Both of them perform adverbial function. Adverb of place at a training. On that day, adverb of time. So that is that about prepositional phrase. Note that a prepositional phrase can function as adjectival phrase. By the time it modifies a noun, we can call it adjectival phrase. So there will be no offense if you call it adjectival phrase, because that's the function it performs it by, and you must take the function that it modifies a noun. For example, it can function as adverbial. In that place, we can call it adverbial phrase. And taking the function, you must mention the noun, the verb it modifies. And the last function is modifies an adjective. You must also point out what it modifies.